You know when someone suddenly starts popping up everywhere, in every single thing you watch, like they're following you around on screen? That's what's been happening with Pedro Pascal lately, and honestly, it's kind of wild how fast it's happened. A couple of years ago, yeah, he was already a known actor, people liked him, but now it's like he's become the entertainment industry's favorite golden child. Everywhere you turn, there he is, in huge blockbuster movies, in major TV shows, doing press tours, popping up in interviews, getting praised left and right on social media. It's gotten to the point where his face feels as common as the logo on your streaming app. In just a single month, he's been linked to multiple high-profile film projects and still somehow finds time to show up in the biggest TV shows. And on top of that, he's got this constant stream of Marvel commitments and upcoming appearances that make it seem like he's basically booked for the next decade. Now, don't get me wrong, talent and hard work definitely play a role in all of this, but something about the way it's happening feels manufactured. You can't help but notice that it's not just his acting that's being pushed into the spotlight, it's his entire personality. Every interview, every photo op, every red carpet moment feels like part of a bigger strategy, like someone's building a brand as carefully as they'd market a luxury product. He's been framed as this down-to-earth, funny, approachable guy who just happens to also be in everything. He talks about his struggles, about having anxiety, about feeling the pressure of his career, and it makes him sound relatable. Like, despite all the fame, he's still just a regular guy trying to figure things out. And you know what? That works. People eat that up because it makes them feel like they're seeing the real him. But here's where it gets tricky. When you start looking at the way his public image is being built, you notice there's this perfect balance being struck, vulnerable enough to seem human, polished enough to still be marketable, and politically aligned enough to never ruffle the wrong feathers in Hollywood. It's a very, very safe formula. And it's that safety that's interesting, because the truth is, Pedro's public behavior sometimes doesn't really match the image he's selling. There have been plenty of moments caught on camera, by the way, that feel a little off. I'm talking about overly touchy moments with co-stars, intimate gestures in public that most people wouldn't get away with, and interactions that leave you wondering if they'd be perceived the same way if it were literally anyone else doing them. But with Pedro, it's all brushed off as him being friendly or affectionate, because the idea of him being anything but lovable doesn't fit the narrative. Take his recent Fantastic Four press tour with Vanessa Kirby. If you watched any of that, you probably noticed how physical they were with each other, and not just in a casual way. We're talking lingering hugs, stroking hands, touching faces. At one point, he even placed his hands over her in a way that looked more like a partner's gesture than a co-star's. The thing is, Vanessa's pregnant and not with Pedro's child, but with her fiancé, so naturally, people started talking. But somehow, this didn't become the huge scandal it could have been for someone else in his position. For Pedro, it just got spun into more, or, he's such a warm, caring person, moments. And it's not like that was an isolated case. There's a resurfaced clip with Willem Dafoe where Pedro starts off laughing and being friendly, but then shifts his attention to Willem's wife. And he's not just chatting, he's touching her, leaning in, openly flirting, and doing it right in front of Willem. You can literally see Willem's face change from amused to annoyed in real time. Now, I don't know about you, but if I saw someone acting that way with my partner, I wouldn't be thrilled. It's the kind of thing that for another actor might spark outrage, but with Pedro, it just disappears into the background. The media doesn't touch it, the fans either ignore it or defend it, and the narrative stays intact. Then you've got moments like the one with Sarah Paulson, where he wrapped his arm around her on the red carpet and was rubbing it up and down while whispering something in her ear. It's awkward to watch because she doesn't exactly look thrilled, but the clip is so short that people can write it off as nothing. And let's not forget Dakota Johnson saying Pedro borrows her clothes. Okay, quirky. But also that he once suggested she start selling foot photos online. Depending on your sense of humor, that's either weirdly funny or just weird. But either way, if someone with a less carefully managed image had said it, it would probably have been the kind of story that followed them around for years. So the big question is, why does he get away with all of this? And the answer, in my opinion, is because Pedro Pascal isn't just an actor anymore, he's a Hollywood brand. The industry loves him because he's everything they want right now. He's talented, yes, but he's also a safe bet. He's Latino, he's outspoken in exactly the right ways, and he checks every box studios need to tick to appear progressive and socially conscious. When you cast Pedro, you're not just hiring someone to play a role, you're getting a built-in PR win. And because he's so valuable, the machine protects him. You see it in the way he's allowed to make political statements without any blowback, as long as they align with the accepted Hollywood stance. He's called out people like J.K. Rowling, he's made public speeches about immigration policy. He's taken part in celebrity activism videos, and every single time, he's praised for it. Compare that to someone like Gina Carano, his former Mandalorian co-star, who was fired and blacklisted for social media posts that didn't match Hollywood's preferred narrative. In her lawsuit against Disney, she even pointed out how Pedro could make statements comparing Trump supporters to Nazis and never face any consequences, while she was forced out completely. And that's when you realize this isn't just about free speech or personal opinion, it's about playing the role Hollywood needs you to play. Pedro plays it perfectly. He dresses in a way that keeps people talking without crossing any lines. He leans into the sensitive man archetype that fans adore, and he uses his openness about anxiety as both a personal detail and a shield. It's part of the brand, and the brand is working. Even the so-called controversies, like his behavior with Vanessa Kirby, might not actually hurt him. In fact, they might help keep attention on the projects he's promoting. If people are buzzing about his interactions on a press tour, that's still free publicity for the movie. When you start thinking about it that way, it becomes hard to separate Pedro the person from Pedro the product. Hollywood isn't just selling you his performances, it's selling you him, and that's why the same rules don't seem to apply. As long as he's useful, as long as he's making studios look good and keeping audiences engaged, he's untouchable. The machine will keep pushing him, the media will keep praising him, and the public will keep buying into the image. But here's what makes me wonder how much of what we're seeing is actually him, and how much is a version of him that's been polished, packaged, and presented for maximum profit. Because in Hollywood, authenticity is often the first thing to go when there's money on the line. And in Pedro's case, it feels like every part of his public life has been fine-tuned to make sure he never slips out of favor. The personality, the causes, the fashion, the interactions, they all fit neatly into this picture of the perfect modern movie star. And maybe that's the real takeaway here. Pedro Pascal might be talented, charming, and genuinely likable in person. I'm not saying he's not. But the reason he's everywhere right now isn't just because of who he is. It's because of what he represents to the industry at this exact moment in time. He's the safe bet in an unstable market, the guy who can play the hero on screen and the good guy off screen without ever threatening the system that supports him. And in Hollywood, that's the kind of person you protect at all costs. So yeah, maybe some of those intimate moments with co-stars are just him being affectionate. Maybe those awkward interactions are harmless. Or maybe they're the kind of thing that would be career-ending for someone else but get shrugged off for him because he's too valuable to lose. Either way, one thing's for sure, Pedro Pascal isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And whether you love him, question him, or can't quite figure him out, you're going to be seeing a lot more of him. At the end of the day, everything we've talked about comes down to seeing the bigger picture, understanding the layers behind what's shown to us, and deciding what we really think about it all. I've shared my thoughts, my perspective, and some angles that maybe you hadn't considered before, but now it's your turn to join the conversation. I'd love to know what you think, so drop your opinions in the comments. And if you enjoyed spending this time with me, make sure to like the video, share it with others, and subscribe so we can keep exploring more together.